I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. I am still vertical. Oh, actually, no.
You're horizontal.
Let's start over. Hey everybody, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. Julio Gallerati. Ryan is very healthy Lynch. And Julio is very unhealthy Gallerati.
No, thank you.
Still horizontal. I actually just tried to introduce the show 5 seconds ago and said I'm still vertical, which was incorrect.
I think we're going to keep that.
We're keeping that?
I think we're going to keep that. That was cute. You don't make a lot of flubs on the show. When I'm editing the show, there's not a lot to cut when you say stuff because you say things correctly.
Typically. Can't win them all. Fine.
Typically, you do.
So, dude, you know what's funny? I was thinking about our conversation from last episode and how, you know, when you get got, you sort of feel like shit about it sometimes. You're like, why didn't I man up? Why didn't I say why didn't I behave how I want myself to be? Why was I how I am? That's a scary thing.
Why did you be how it was?
What?
Why did you be how it was?
Why was you how it is? But dude, so in relation to that, sometimes I'll watch like a fictional show and it'll like make me feel bad about myself.
In terms of how someone steps up?
No. So for example, I was watching House of the Dragon, and King Viserys or whatever is like kind of a weak king. That's like one of the things. And you sort of see why he's a weak king as the show goes on. They do a good job at encapsulating what could potentially make someone a weak king. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, fuck, dude, like I would be a weak king too. That makes me feel like shit.
Mm-hmm. Give an example on something that he's done that makes him weak.
Just like being indecisive, being indecisive, not being bold, not being competent for whatever reason. And like, he's not dumb. You know, he's smart. He reads, he knows stuff, but for whatever reason, he doesn't have that chutzpah. He doesn't have that oomph.
The haktua?
The haktua.
Mm-hmm.
You get me?
Yeah.
He just didn't got it.
So you relate with him sometimes?
Sometimes I'm sitting there. Sometimes I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I would be a weak king.
Mm.
I don't have what it takes to be king. As if that matters in any way.
Yeah.
I think part of like being effective, like in your life, is accepting who you are. Right? It's okay if if you are a certain way, or if your impulse is to behave a certain way in a certain situation. You can coach yourself into behaving properly without having to change who you are and how you operate. Ooh, I wish I was bolder. I wish I was this. I wish I was that. I wish that didn't make me feel this way. That's like a difficult thing to manage. Mm-hmm. And there is a balance between being true to yourself and doing what you have to do. Because somehow doing something that you wouldn't have done in a way that someone else would do it typically doesn't work well for you. It's good to be consistent. Because if you're kind of changing how you are, it's hard to sort of like, I don't know, I find it hard to navigate.
Unless you're like building towards something, building towards a change gradually. You can't flip it overnight.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that change still like has to be true to you. Whatever that change ends up being, you can't just be like, all right, I'm like this now. And you show up with this new guy. It's like insane.
No, you'll become broken immediately. People will poke their holes in that. I dealt with that when I was doing student government in college. When I was student body president, I was in charge of like 50 people. And like I was the president, and so when like big things came up, it was all just like internal politics and like she said this and that's inappropriate. We need to cancel her and we need to impeach her from the organization. That was pretty much all student government is at a liberal arts college. That's all it is. It's just everyone impeaching each other, no initiatives being completed, and just managing people's feelings. And so
You're like, now, Brandon.
Pretty much, Brandon. And there were some really, there were a lot more confident, competent, intentional people that were in the organization that would clash with others on the opposite side. And they would have to come to me when the two of them would be disagreeing. And that was really hard to manage because I was a little bit softer and I didn't really know how to deal with it.
It's not giving strong king, Lynch.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I was soft king. Soft king.
It is a fascinating thing, like what makes a good king and why, right? As if it matters. But like at some point it did. And you see these scenarios in these shows where the king wants to show people that he's actually strong. But because he's not strong, him trying to show he's strong is almost like embarrassing.
Only to people that don't know him very well.
But the people do know. Like
I know, but to like the congregation of like, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but like all the people that live in their village or whatever, if they only get like, the little once a month quarterly reports and stuff, they would assume that they're very strong just because they are a king. If you're inside the house, then you can see that, oh, that person sucks.
Right. Well, so it's interesting because a lot of the time in these kind of shows, and we'll talk about House of the Dragon just for a good example. And if you haven't seen it, there's not really any spoilers here. But for the most part, they kind of navigate internal politics, right? So it's like, you're the king, you're in charge of everything, but how do you get all these other people to do what they're supposed to do, right? And you can do it by, and some of the principles that are obvious, unspecifically kind of like being strong, right? You're a strong king. And why are you strong? You're smart. You know stuff. You are bold. Maybe you make people fearful, but you're also compassionate. You sort of know when to crack the whip and know when to be patient and compassionate. It's like a perfect balance of all of that. And if you're able to do that, you instill the confidence of not only the people, but the people who are in the government so that you have a grip on power. There's nobody trying to undermine your power. Maybe if there is, you have their head cut off in the middle of the square and you show people that you're strong. But for whatever reason, these like weak kings, it can be difficult for them to do these things for whatever reason. They might do the same specific act that a strong king did, but the strong king doing it sends the message, but the weak king doing it just seems kind of futile, which is interesting. The subtlety of being a good leader. And, we learn about a lot of that stuff in conventional jobs. When you have to manage others, they kind of teach you little tricks about communicating and being good at it, right? And being good at managing people. And I think there's similar themes, you know what I mean? But anyway, I just think it's an interesting subject.
Yeah. Student government was like a great little simulation of how politics plays out and things like that. Even though it's called student government, it's not like Democrat, Republican. It's just like being the liaison between the students and the university and trying to get things fixed, whether it be like advocating for water fountain hydration stations or to get the NAACP a dedicated space on campus. Like that was what it was. At least that's what it's supposed to be. It always ends up turning into, oh my God, she just said this, we need to kick her out. Oh my God, he just said that, we need to kick him out.
And are those people sitting there while that complaint is being brought up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was like 40 people. We have a big meeting once a week, and we're supposed to work on those important things, and it always turns into just trying to cancel and sabotage one another. It was a lot.
Tit for tat, revenge.
But it taught me how to deal with people, and there was literally we did this thing, we did like a colors assessment, some sort of thing that like, I'm a yellow. Like I lead with yellow, I lead with red and blue and green, and each of them were like different like leadership qualities, and everyone had their bricks, and it was just how to deal with people. I actually think I learned the most from student government. I think I learned more from student government than I did from some of my classes.
Interesting.
Just dealing with people, understanding why people feel a different way, not with anything student government related, just by being around them and forced to work with them.
Were you interested in it because there was some sort of resume benefit?
I originally ran for student government my freshman year because I got to make fun posters and I got to meet hot chicks. We had to go around after I think 5 days into school because the first like few days. I know you probably went a little early for tennis and like you were able to meet a couple people. Is that true? Like you were there
like
a little. You were there before everyone else.
Not my freshman year,
okay.
But no, actually, I didn't have to be there on campus early for tennis.
You show up to like freshman year and it's like you're like back at square one and you're just like so nervous and anxious and just hopeful that you can find at least a group
thing.
And you're desperate. And so I was lucky enough to find a super extroverted. I had a very extroverted roommate And we decided to run for student government, made really silly posters, and we had to have like 300 people from our class sign it. So it was a great way to meet people. Then
So this is your roommate just randomly, and then did you guys are you guys still friends?
We're friendly.
So wait, so student government. So freshman year you ran.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point about college, and I want to get back to the student government stuff because I have questions. But like, it's one of the only times in your life, besides like camp or whatever, but like as an adult, where like you are just thrown into this new giant pool of people. You have it's this weird opportunity, and you don't really see it as an opportunity at the time, maybe because you're too young to like really realize what it's gonna be like. But that anxiety and stuff, you feel it, but like it's a new feeling in this weird way because you've only known what you've known up to that point. And you don't have to go to college, but people who do go, I think a lot of the time feel like they have to. I know I felt as if I had to. I was like, if I don't, well, what am I going to do? I have to go. So now there you are. And you have this opportunity to meet people, learn stuff, whatever. I've talked about this on the pod many times. It was a great experience for me to meet all these new different kinds of people, see how they live their lives, and kind of decide how I want to live mine based on that. Whereas before I only knew one way. And anybody who lived a different life, I didn't even really tangibly think about. Oh, wow, that person might see this thing that I see as straightforward completely differently. Great opportunity. And it's the only time in your life where you ever will really have that opportunity. Because if you have it, you might not take it. It's too intimidating. It's like, well, I guess I could go there, but I don't know anyone and this and that. And like, it's a much harder thing to do. So I think to me, that's like one of the big benefits of college.
Yeah. If I wasn't paired up with the guy I was paired up with, I definitely would have been probably a even more introverted person than I am today. But he kind of just like gave me his hand. I ran with him for a couple of days when we met, and I just went where he went. And this guy just opened a whole new world to me. And I'd say after a couple of weeks, I was like the most confident person I've ever been in my life. It completely changed my life.
You were the king. He was the hand of the king.
I guess so.
So
yeah.
wait, so I don't understand. So this guy was a freshman also, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't know anybody either.
No, but he was super extroverted and just was like, "Let's go talk to chicks." And like, we were buddy, and
Nice.
we were attached at the hip freshman year. Then sophomore year, tried to move away. He stopped doing student government. I got involved in that, and I just kept doing it. And then I got elected student body. And so it was great. It was a great way to meet people. I knew pretty much everybody just because I was
How
involved
many people at Quinnipiac?
I think like 4,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was bigger.
It might be
small.
5 now, but joining student government changed my life, and it had nothing to do with student government. It was just the publicity that came with the campaigns early on in the year. Everybody's a nobody when they are on campus, and you have to meet people on your own and go out of your way or don't go out of your way and live with that. But when you're running for student government, your face is all over campus with the posters that you made. It was a very easy and quick way to meet people.
Oh, so you kind of stand out. You're this like big shot.
We made some really funny posters. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just really silly.
And I'm sure people love that. Very clever.
We tried to, this senior tried to get us expelled because there was a ball pit, like a rainbow ball pit for some student ran event, and we got in it, had someone take a photo of us, and we were like wearing glasses, and it was, "We have the balls to represent you." And so, this was 10 years ago now, but somebody was very adamant about getting us kicked off the election and kicked out of school for that.
They thought it was misogynistic or something.
Yeah, and it turned into
Crude.
a big story on campus, and nothing ever happened of it except give us publicity.
So this
kind of helped.
This is still with your roommate?
Yeah.
I remember we played tennis against Quinnipiac, and I think I've been to the campus. It's a nice campus, right?
It's a nice campus. The tennis facilities have gotten better since you've been. I know they were like working on them while I was there, and they were really nice by the time I graduated.
I hated the coach because one time I was playing doubles against you guys in the Yukon Fall Invitational, and a guy on Quinnipiac like smashed his racket so badly where like a roaming official would have normally given you a point penalty, which would have ended up making us win the match. But the roaming official was the Quinnipiac coach, did not give a point penalty, and we ended up choking and losing. We should have still won, so I can't blame him, but I still hate him for it.
Forever?
Forever, yeah. But okay, so what's the like the navigation process like? So freshman year, what was your position?
Freshman year, I was vice president of my freshman class. So there's every class has a group of 10, a president, a vice president, and then 8 other members that are kind of the delegates. So freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and then there's the executive board.
This is very Game of Thrones-esque, the 7 kingdoms.
So the
5 kingdoms.
Essentially, yeah. So the executive board was finance, student programming, VP of PR, vice president, and president. That was the executive board. You got a stipend towards your tuition if you served on there, and you got an office on campus.
How good was the stipend?
$10,000 a year.
What?
Yeah.
That's sick.
So
Everybody.
No, just the executive board.
But all like the president didn't get more.
No, everyone got a flat 10. I think it's changed since.
Were your parents thrilled?
So let's work our way up. So first year, I'm the vice president of the freshman class. Sophomore year, I'm the vice president of the sophomore class. Then when you become a junior or senior, that's kind of when, if you take the initiative, you can get onto the executive board. I ran for VP of PR for junior year, and I got it. And then senior year, VP was going to be unopposed. So that was like a safe $10K.
Sick.
If I ran for that.
There was just nobody else running?
No one else was running for it.
That's wild.
And
bro.
Victoria also was in the picture at this point. She
fucking
potentially was going to be running for it. And this is all in-house.
She was going to run against you.
Well, no, we were never going to run against each other, but she was interested in that position. And so I could have played it safe, and I could have done VP of PR again and gotten my stipend for the next year, or I run for student body president against the guy that I shared the office with.
And you were his VP previously?
No, we are all on the executive board my junior year.
Got it.
And he wanted to be president the next year, and I wanted to be president the next year.
What happened to the president of the freshman and sophomore classes when you were VP?
What do you mean?
You were VP freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah.
Who was the president? What happened to this guy?
First person just didn't want to do it anymore. Second person got kicked out for drinking.
Cleared the way for LYNCH.
Yeah, a lot of people get kicked out. A lot of people get kicked out for XYZ reason. It is tough to make it all the way. But when I was sitting there freshman year in our first general board meeting, I was looking at the executive board and I was like, I think I can finagle my way up there one day. And
the drinking guy, when he got kicked out for drinking, did you sort of Teddy Roosevelt, his William McKinley, fill in the role?
I think so. If I remember correctly, I think I did fill that seat.
Interim president?
And then one of the other delegates took over the VP position. But we're playing this game, and now money's involved. So I'm running for president. The guy I share an office with is running for president. One of us is going to win. The loser does not get to relegate down to their previous position. The loser becomes a delegate of the senior class.
So
meaning you get no
you're not
money.
on the executive board.
Meaning you're not on the executive board and you don't get money. So the stakes are high because we've sniffed the money. We've had it for a year.
You've done the cocaine.
To go from we've done the diplomatic dust, and stakes were high, and so we ran. It was a really close election, and
went to a runoff.
Sorry?
Went to a runoff?
No, not a runoff. I think I won like 56 to 44. It was close. Yeah. And it was intense and things got heated for a moment.
Do you have to debate?
Yeah, we had to do a debate.
Do you guys not like each other at any point during it?
We were really tight. And we knew going into it, we're like, we love each other. Things are going to get tense. That's just how it be. And things did get a little tense. But then as soon as it ended, very amicable.
Very politics.
He ended up resigning and going on to
He dropped out of the race?
No, resigning like after I beat him. I think he lasted a couple months and then he resigned and did other stuff.
Oh, so from being on the senior board?
Yeah.
Because that's a bullshit position. That's like being, a prince of a country. It's a ceremonial position.
It is a ceremonial position.
You show up to the events and wave. So when you were campaigning, were you like, I served as I've proven I can lead. When John Johnson got kicked out of school for drinking, I stepped up and filled the president role. Vote for me.
It's interesting. A lot of people, so the way I played it, a lot of people when they run for the campaign, they fight for something on campus really hard. Like, we need a new building.
We need soda.
We need the parking lots to be completely fixed, and seniors need access, and we need housing, and we need XYZ. A lot of those campaigns are promises that you cannot make or you cannot keep. You can't act on, and they're not going to be completed within the time period that the students are on campus for. So what I decided to do, I decided to campaign on restructuring the organization internally. And I told everybody that what anybody campaigns for is not going to be resolved by the time it's only going to be resolved after they leave campus. So I was like, let's all vote for me together so we can make sure that classes in the future can be represented better. Because right now the structure's all messed up. Let me fix the structure of the organization. And I changed everything.
So, and the idea was that because you changed it, it would make the board or whatever be more able to actually do things
for future classes.
So what was that? What was it like before, and how did you change it for the future?
So here, here's the thing. So originally was freshman class, sophomore, junior, senior. And instead, we got rid of the classes and we made different pods. So we had like culture and diversity. We had like sports. We had academics. We had like campus culture and all these different new pods. It was all bullshit, dude. It was all bullshit. And
what do you mean? None of them did anything?
No, like it was all just whatever. It was just ideas. No one really cared. When I started talking, no one was listening to what I had to say. I ran on that. And I pretty much delegated everything to the person that was running the next year, and he did everything.
Interesting. So then, are you like a legend at Quinnipiac? Like, if you were to go back, would people be like, "That's Lynch"? Lynch.
Not anymore. I think not anymore. No, but it was pretty cool. There was definitely some clout that came with it. I got a free custom Vineyard Vines bow tie.
Nice.
And a gavel, and I had an office. And
gavel?
Yeah, I have a gavel. I still
for
have
the
it.
meetings.
Yeah.
Would you hit it?
Every meeting.
Would you like laugh as you did it?
No, it was very serious.
You're dead serious.
Dude, I have a video interview that I can show you where like we had a meeting completely bombarded about some political issue that was going on campus, and I'm talking to the media after, and I'm completely bullshitting my way through it. Like, I'm literally saying so much and nothing at all. It was a weird time. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was doing it all the time.
Nice, dude. It's crazy.
But yeah, the stipend really helped. I think that's
Were your
what
parents
really fueled
happy?
it. Yeah, they were ecstatic. I got to give a speech to the incoming freshman class. Like 4,000. It was like a 4,000 person room. I had to give like a 15-minute speech. And
wait, 4,000? I thought was the whole school.
Yeah, but there were parents and family. The whole arena was filled up. And there also were students from every class that showed up. So yeah, I spoke to like 4,000 people, and I did like a 15-minute set. I was just doing jokes and stuff. I was talking about Black Mirror, and I was like, "You guys need to stay off your phones." I'm sitting here 10 years later, 6 years later, and I feel a little hypocritical about it.
It's 6 years later?
I graduated in 18, so yeah, we're about 6.
Nice.
So.
Oh, that's great, dude. Good for you.
Thanks.
What a fun, interesting thing. I'm trying to think if I don't think I ever did any student body shit. I'm trying to think what leadership. I was captain of my tennis team.
Uh-huh.
I think in high school and college. Yeah. I gave the Gettysburg Address dressed as Abraham Lincoln when I was in 4th grade. Gave pennies to all the kindergartners. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Yeah. And if anyone listening, if I sound like a pretentious, swiney asshole, I have to say that doing student government above trying to get on executive board, it gave me a community of people and a place on campus I could always go to do homework and ask for advice and things like that. So I think that was a very important part of it. It was a nice community, especially when I was younger in it.
I'm concerned about why you think that would make you sound like an asshole.
Because I was the president. I didn't really do anything. I got a paycheck for it. And that was it.
But dude, no, you did though. You did stuff. Like you set the ground, you laid the groundwork to have it be able to change. You said yourself, you can't get it all done know, in that short amount of time.
I just
or
feel
whatever.
there was a brown noser in the organization that was a year younger, and I had the idea to restructure it, and he did it. He did all of it. I didn't ask him to do it. He wanted to do it.
The king makes the plan. He doesn't execute it.
Dude, this guy
This is what a strong king does.
This guy, all right, okay, then yeah, that's who I am. That's what I did.
Bro,
that's what I did.
Dude, the leader has to have the vision. The vision's the hard part. If anything, you sound like a nerd, dude.
Yeah.
You don't sound like an asshole.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, I'm so far removed that I like feel guilty about it. I played it pretty well. I had this guy do everything for me. Dude, he even ironed my shirts before our general board meetings. I didn't even ask him to do it. He came in, he's like, Ryan, that looks a little wrinkly. Let me take care of that for you. He brought an ironing board from his dorm, and then I had him do it every single week. I'm sitting in my office, shirtless, watching YouTube videos while everyone out there is barking and fighting over political stuff going on in the world and on campus. I'm watching like Yankees highlights from 2011, shirtless, while this guy is ironing my shirt. It felt pretty damn good.
Guys, this is a lesson. This is a lesson. Lynch should realize that this is leadership. This is what it's all about, dude. To be willing to be the guy who has the target on his back, have the pressure, you know, if anything goes wrong, they blame you, you know, but you get the glory as well. But like being willing to be in that position to begin with is the first step. Well, most people are not. Mm-hmm. And secondly, whatever the ideas you had were, they were popular enough to make you the fucking president, and you should have people ironing your shirts. You know, you're the one who's the president.
Yeah.
So a good king is willing to take chances, have the vision, and then he doesn't actually do the stuff. The boss never actually does the stuff. He just decides and makes and has the vision, bro.
Yeah. I'm shaking right now. Yeah. You give me like I'm having like a revelation right now. Like I need to give myself a little more credit on playing my cards right in that regard.
You did a
I was
great
able
job.
to work my way to the top there.
If you were smart, you would have cut a deal with your dad. Be like, listen, pal.
I did.
Oh, you did?
That was my going out. I worked out a deal where I got some of it, and that was,
yeah.
I needed it. I needed that. I could not afford to have a personal life if I didn't get a little cut of that. And I worked out a deal with my dad, and he happily, we were able to work something out. He was happy to do it because it was, you know, I was doing something pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
So.
Hell yeah, dude. Good for you. Very cool.
This episode of Oops the Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Yeah, guys, if you are looking for a solid place to go seek out some therapy, BetterHelp is the place for you. It's a great online exclusively platform that matches you up with therapists based on all of your specific criteria. I think just in general, therapy is a really important thing to be doing. I think honestly, the same way that eating breakfast or making sure you get 7 hours of sleep at the minimum, I may have just made up that number as far as timing of sleep, but you get my point. Therapy is a solid part of my life and of a lot of the people that I know. Highly recommend it. Even if you don't think that, quote, you need it, I sort of believe that everybody maybe needs it. And BetterHelp is a really solid, efficient way to do it, to match you up with a therapist. I know that in the past, like when I've gone to in-person therapy, there were times where like, I just got whoever was available. And then I felt like weird not continuing. So then I just went to the same shrink for like 3 years who ended up not being a good fit. And like that doesn't really happen with BetterHelp because first of all, there's a much more in-depth vetting process that's also way more efficient. You'll see all the therapists that you could theoretically be matched up with, what their specialties are, so you can kind of see if there's something that you're really specifically thinking about you needing to work on, and maybe it happens to be their specialty. You can match up with that person. Also, you sort of narrow down who might be a good fit for you. So like BetterHelp most likely will suggest a good person based on the short questionnaire that you fill out. And I found that process to be like super duper efficient. And by the time I was scheduled for my session, I mean, it couldn't have been easier. So I think this is something that can work for everybody. So if you're thinking about getting involved in therapy, this could be it for you.
Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/oops today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/oops.
Dude, I had a phone call trying to set up my MRI. I know we talked about this. I still have not gotten it. I maybe don't even fucking need it, but the 2 or 3 different people recommended it. So I was like, I'll just get it. They were asking me all these questions. They're like, do you have a metal hip or anything? I'm like, no. They're like, do you have like a fake eyeball or Whatever. No, I don't. Do you have a stent put in your heart? They're asking all this shit because I guess they need to know that before the MRI. Then they're like, do you have a penile implant? I just start laughing.
That's inappropriate. You should not laugh at that, Julia. That's
Bro,
a serious question.
A penile implant. Have you ever been asked that?
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, use your imagination.
An penile implant. Does that mean like penis extension surgery?
Maybe thickening, extension, whatever it might be.
I'm looking it up on your Wi-Fi.
It's sort of some sort of penis augmentation surgery to do whatever it does.
It helps erectile dysfunction.
They're that too.
Okay.
But I think there's also like aesthetic ones you can do. But dude, a penile implant. I've never been asked that. Of course I laughed. And then it was just silent. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like fourth grade now, all over again. No response. And then I was like, oh, sorry. No, I don't have a penile.
Yeah.
Dude, lady, give me something. You can't just be like, I know. It's not like, is she dealing with this every day? Like, is people just laughing at the penile implant question? I feel like people would be embarrassed and intimidated having this official conversation. They'd be like, no, you know what I mean?
Mm.
I'm not trying to like act like I'm not intimidated. Why would I be intimidated by a phone with a doctor? But it threw me off, and it was fucking funny that the technician lady do have a penile implant. No, but it's funny.
Let's be a little conscious of our listeners that maybe have penile implants.
I know a guy who has a penile implant, and it's funny when you have a penile implant, you are sort of like you have a semi at all times. Because I'm serious, you have a semi at all times. So if you have this because your penis grows and shrinks, and if you have these implants, it can no longer shrink. So you're always sort of like at 65%.
Yeah.
I've seen the dude's always naked on his Twitter and shit.
Damn.
I think he must have an OnlyFans now. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting thing.
That's interesting.
So if any of you guys have penile implants, we are actually curious to hear about it. It's funny, you hear about these stories. Like throughout the years, I've had friends who've been like obsessed with this kind of thing. Guy who used to DJ our show would always be telling me all these things. He'd be doing these exercises to try to make his penis bigger. He'd be like working it out. So he was explaining all this shit that he would do. I was like, Jesus. And then he's like, yeah, he's like, it's kind of painful. He's like, I'm thinking of going to Germany and getting the procedure. That's where you can get it done. And I was like, okay.
Do you think he did?
No, he definitely doesn't have the money. But he most likely is still doing the penis exercises. This guy's a little unhinged. The last time I saw him post something, he's just like joking around. And then suddenly he turns the camera to reveal that there's a raccoon in his house that he found and invited and became his pet. And then the next shot is him with his mouth open and the raccoon is eating berries out of his mouth. You want to see?
Can you send it to me?
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now. Dude, it's crazy.
I don't know if I need to make space in my life for a person like that. I got too many. I love my friends, but everyone's very vanilla.
Dude,
I need someone like that to be one of my 5 people.
Dude, I'm sending this to you right now. Check it out.
Dude, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Crazy.
Made me feel sick.
The guy's a nut.
Okay, so yeah, so he was trying to get it bigger. I'm trying to think. Did you ever try to like experiment with yourself with things in middle school or high school? I try to myself,
What's that, Lynch?
I've tried.
You tried to blow yourself?
Yeah, once. I remember it. I really hurt my back. Not as bad as yours is right now, but it hurt a lot.
I think we've all sort of. This is the thing. Most people can't even get close enough to have it be a realistic thing that you could maybe do. But I think we've all at some point been like, how close can I get to it? Mm-hmm. As a baseline before the thought of actually blowing oneself appears.
Yeah.
You kind of take that first step, which is just leaning down, Lynch.
Yeah.
And seeing, can I
toss my legs over my head?
Can I? To the point where it's actually, I just assumed that wasn't even possible. So to learn that it in fact is possible, that is a little crazy. Yeah. You occasionally stumble across that video. Mm-hmm. Either one of your fucking sick puppy friends will send it to you, or I'll be honest,
I've never seen a video like that, to be honest with you.
I
That's kinda
love a
fucked
good.
up.
So but I don't think the penis size is ultimately what matters. I think it's more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
If you can bend far enough. I mean, if you got a fucking piece on you, it probably helps.
Especially if it has that banana arch.
Right.
Kind of just falls into your mouth.
The banana boat. It's
Yeah.
it's heading in the right direction.
Yep.
Lynch.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can't. You know how can you put your tongue up your nostril?
I sort of have like a long Italian nose. So, you can put it inside.
Mm.
Yeah, I can too.
I wish it wasn't such a gross talent. 'cause
What
I
other
think
things
it's
are
cool.
there? Can you do the 4-leaf clover tongue?
Nope.
I can't. I can do this. That's not impressive though. Can you roll your R's? Rodrigo.
Rico.
Hillary cannot.
That's a thing you can't do.
Some people cannot roll their R's.
Mm.
I wonder if she became embedded enough in some sort of European culture, if it inevitably would just start to happen for her.
Just hanging out in Europe long enough.
Bro, because even my boy Blake in Nicaragua, like he spoke perfect Spanish, but like everybody knew he sounded like a gringo. And part of it, I think, was because he couldn't roll his R's.
Damn. You got to move out of there.
He loves it down there, dude.
You can't roll your R's.
Yeah, you got to roll your R's.
That's big. What was I gonna say? I had a coworker that when she eats cilantro, it tastes like soap. You heard of
Soap?
that?
I
Tastes
have,
like
yeah.
soap.
Do you like cilantro?
I don't know if I like cilantro, but I'd rather taste it as is than soap. Like I'm grateful that I can taste it
Yeah.
because it's a unique thing.
Totally.
Different. Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm still doing my gluten-free diet. Have I told you about this?
How's that going? I feel like you're a couple weeks in or a week
I'm,
in.
I'm 11 days into it. I haven't been drinking, eating dairy, or eating gluten at all.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, I can't really assess the benefits of any of it because I've been so it's been such an unprecedented time in my life where I'm just like immobile and injured, and like I may be thinking clearly, but I may also just be like in a random parallel part of my life where it doesn't count.
Yeah, you can't tell what's what right now.
I can't tell. So I may have just done it in vain. It doesn't, like, I haven't like lost a bunch of weight or anything. I'm just kind of like the same. If anything, I'm fatter.
There's too many variables in this experiment and not enough constants.
Totally.
That's
I will say
big.
this though. I mean, if there's ever times where like you're feeling anxious or stressed, and like I'm not feeling that way now, but maybe like coming, in June, maybe I was a little bit, just like there's some stuff shifting and blah, blah, blah. Maybe I was like a little stressed out, and like working really felt like a chore, and it kind of felt exhausting. You know what I mean? During times like that, it can be helpful to sort of do some sort of thing that people say helps you think more clearly, whether it be meditating, mindfulness, fucking some sort of taking something out of your diet, whatever it might be. It can help. You know what I mean? And then when I'm feeling good, it sort of doesn't matter what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like if I'm feeling really good, like I can drink, it's fine. I can do this, it's fine. But I still have a few more days to go in this minimum of 2 weeks of cutting things out. They say you're supposed to only cut out one thing at a time, but I already know that cutting out dairy and alcohol just like make me digest better and feel better. So like not doing those things won't be unclear whether or not it was the gluten or not. You know what I mean? I already know that I function better without those two things. So I was like, I might as well just not do those and see how the gluten thing feels. It's feeling like maybe I just don't have a gluten intolerance, dude.
Maybe the gluten and dairy thing. Those are so big. I feel like you should do those separate.
I know, but I already know about the dairy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I usually don't eat dairy anyway.
Dairy's so fucking gross.
Which I know it fucks you up like even more tangibly than it does to me, but like my digestion's all fucked up. The only thing that I can without a doubt say is that my digestion has been wonderful.
Been a smooth pipe.
I've just been functioning properly. Let's just leave it at that.
Nice.
And that's been nice. No heartburn. I haven't been overeating either, which is an interesting thing. I think they say that like gluten, this is not a hot take and we're not this kind of podcast, but if they say that it gives you insulin spikes, like more so than candy or sugar would. So like it could make sense why you'll like crave things more or eat more when you're not actually hungry, blah, blah, fucking blah. So I think all of that is potentially interesting. So whatever. I don't intend to give gluten up by any means.
You're still going to seek this out though, right? For a couple more weeks, or are you like?
I don't know. I'm going to check back in 2 weeks in, see how I'm doing, and maybe stick with it because it hasn't been that hard either.
Mm-hmm.
And once you don't eat certain things, you stop thinking you want them, and most of those things are just like not that good for you. You know what I mean? Now, granted, like whole grains and stuff, I know there's like fiber and whatever, but like, having a super duper dense starchy carb diet is like not good for you in general.
Yeah.
So my whole thing has always been, if I can resist something, I shouldn't be having it. So even though like I could eat a donut, but if I'm not craving a donut, why eat a donut? Because I crave so many bad things already. I might as well not eat the things I don't want. You know what I mean?
Good.
So
some positive there.
But yeah, I do still recommend the book, Serve to Win, Djokovic. I find him to be pretty inspiring. The fact that he even played Wimbledon at all he tore his fucking meniscus 2 weeks before Wimbledon started, dude. Had surgery and was able to make a deep run at Wimbledon still 2 weeks later. I've never heard of that.
I'm picturing the angles in which your legs are moving.
Dude,
on a tennis
MCL
court.
surgery can end your career.
Yeah.
Coming back in 2 weeks at that age, he's 37, 38 years old. Like at that age, a knee surgery can end your career. It ended Federer's career. I'm really curious, man, about how these guys recover so well. And I've started to read more about it. And apparently it's not easy to test positive for EPO.
What is EPO?
EPO is something that your like liver naturally produces or something. It's basically like doping. It makes your body recover more quickly. And if you can take it, and it's illegal, but it's hard to test for. It's what Lance Armstrong was doing. And it's what all these athletes do. So the fact that these tennis players play 10 hours of tennis or whatever in 2 days and then are still able to play the next day, I call bullshit on that, dude. And apparently it is very hard to test positive for it. And when people do, there's usually some like weird mistake that was made. Like Maria Sharapova tested positive for something that had just been banned and her team didn't know. So they fucked up. But I think there's like timing that goes into it. And I think these guys know how to pass the test. So as impressed I am by Djokovic and all his dietary, holistic meditation, he sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber, which naturally dopes your blood. It's not illegal. It wouldn't shock me if those guys were also taking shit. Because once you can afford it, tennis is weird like that. And it's a catch-22 because it's like, how do you get to the top of the game, right? You need to get there somehow. But once you're there, you can pay for an advantage. You can bring a physio with you on tour. You can bring your trainer, your physio, your coach, a nutritionist, whoever, and they're traveling with you at all times, monitoring you. You can't afford that if you're 60 in the world, even though you make a lot of money. So then it turns into this thing where the rich get richer. You can afford to spend money on recovery that other guys can't afford. So they're getting injured playing the same amount of time that you are. And you can't help but think with all those resources, maybe they have access to, ways to kind of get around the testing.
Yeah. LeBron's performing at a godly level because he spends over $1 million. It might be $10 million.
He said
a
over
year.
Yeah.
On his like conditioning and his rehab stuff. So
well, all these old athletes, Tom Brady too, like they kind of all, and Tim Duncan, a lot of these guys were gluten free, just because gluten is inflammatory and it makes you more likely to get injured. So like you'll notice a lot of these guys like really slim down at the end of their careers. I know Tom Brady kind of had a dad bod still, but he still was like skinny-ish looking compared to how he used to. Tim Duncan was like rail thin when he was 40 and still playing. I know LeBron's jacked, but I'm sure he does all sorts of finicky diet stuff.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about a moment. The last couple of episodes, this and the one last, we talked about like regret and sticking up for ourselves and like wishing that we did something in a situation that we didn't quite do. I do want to tell you a story of perseverance in which I got over myself and I did something and it made me feel really good.
Let's hear it.
I was in Mass. We're at the grocery store. Massachusetts. It wasn't Sunday. I was in Massachusetts. I'm at the grocery store. I'm walking by some sort of like intersection area in the supermarket. I'm walking one way. A woman with a shopping cart is walking towards me. We kind of bump into each other a little bit. And I say, "Oh, sorry." And I back up.
This is a direct hit?
Nah, it was like a borderline. We were just about to hit.
You were sort of starting to veer.
We were about to hit, it's a one-way lane.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, sorry. And I let her pass. And I back up. Oh, sorry.
But
and
you had to move the
I don't
cart?
have a cart. She has a shopping cart. I don't.
Got it.
So this woman has a shopping cart. I don't have a shopping cart. We're about to walk into each other. I back up. I say, ooh, sorry. And then she goes, mm-hmm. And she keeps pushing. I go, ooh, sorry. And then I realize as she's going, mm-hmm, I'm thinking to myself, this person thinks that they have the right of way. This person thinks that I am actually the wrong person in the situation. And she's not going to consider taking any blame whatsoever for this. And that's confirmed by the...
Did she not make any attempt to move out of the way at all?
No.
Okay.
I was in her lane, and it was not a one-way lane. This is a two-person acknowledgement.
You're both hugging the middle of the lane.
Yeah, this is a two-person acknowledgement. So I said, oh, I'm sorry. And as she's passing me within a millisecond, I had all these thoughts. I'm like, wait, no. I'm not going to say sorry to this person. So I said, actually, I'm not sorry. And she turned around, and then she kept going. And then this woman that was next to me, she was like, yeah, she sucks.
Hilarious.
And I felt like a fucking god.
That's
I
great.
felt good. Because I rescinded my sorry.
Dude,
And
good
I
for
guess
you.
I'm saying it to all of you. You can rescind a sorry. You don't need to just say sorry for existing. I did nothing wrong.
That
I
is
did
correct.
nothing wrong. Could have
Well
said,
done.
excuse me, but I said, I'm sorry. And then she took it as yeah, you should be. And I turned to her and I said, actually, I'm not sorry. and I'm going to do that more. Because I'm
Guys-
so inclined to say sorry when it's not even my fault. And I am going to continue to rescind. I'm going to continue to say you're welcome when I open the door for somebody and they don't say thank you. And I'm going to correct the wrong vibes that I'm sending out immediately.
Got it. Dude, Lynch, good for you. Keep blazing a trail out there in the world. And remember, here at Oops the Podcast, we have the balls to represent you.
Yes, we do.
That's the show. Thanks for listening. Send us your emails, your thoughts. Lynch is probably at some point right now going to give you a random thing to comment about. You should adhere and do that. Come check me out the 3rd of August at the Ice House in Pasadena. One show. It's going to be great. On my website and on the link in my bio. I'll also drop any cities you'd like me to come perform in. It helps me figure out where to push for on my tour schedule. And hopefully a lot of big stuff coming up for us. Lynch, what do you have got to happen?
I have a show August 1st, comedy competition. Location is TBD, so I will post the information on it week of on my Instagram. So check that out. And please comment below your least favorite appetizer that everyone insists on ordering.